Hey everyone, if you are joining us for the first time, welcome.
You're from the group.
Yeah, that's all right. It's working, so we know it's working. If you are joining us now, let us know if you can hear and see us okay, if it's lagging in any way. I think the reception is okay. I've seen one person is viewing us. Let me know in the comments below if you can hear and see us fine. I've asked Hanna to come on live today with me because I wanted to. That's all right. It's working, so we know it's working. I have to turn that off.
Look at my fancy ears.
Yeah, it looks like little ears. That's funny. So anyway, I thought I asked Hanna today because Hanna is very, very knowledgeable. We've met for the first time online via the group, but then in person, we actually met in Montreal when Hanna invited me to her very, very first ever. It was a Lash conference as well as a competition in person and online as well in Montreal called Lash Global. And I was very lucky to have been invited by Hanna.
Everyone's really lucky to have you.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing. It was my first time as well in Canada, and I absolutely loved it. And I really, really wanted to come back next time, but I can't, unfortunately. But maybe the year after. Maybe. We can chat about it again. Well, someone is waving so you can hear us. So I invited you today because I thought it would be amazing to give the beginners in the group here a little bit of a crash course in tweezers, because this is literally one of the things that so many people have no idea about and get wrong so often. And there's a lot of question involving tweezers. How are they made? What are the best ones to pick? How can I hold them? How do I know they're good? And all that sort of stuff. But before we get into that, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit to everybody and tell them how you became what you are today, successful brand and global distributor of products as well, and how long you've been lashing for?
Yeah, I can do that. Every time I'm speaking about my history and my story, I feel like people get so boring.
Not boring at all.
Yeah, I started in Belarus. I was just a lash technician, and as financial situation in the country was not so successful, so I finished all kind of courses, the hairdressers, makeup, different depilations, everything. So when I moved to Canada, it was kind of better. That's why I stuck with lashes only. And some girls started asking me like, do you teach? And I was like, okay, probably I have to start. And as I have 3 pedagogical specialties of higher education, so I've decided like, okay, I can try. And of course, every time I just remake all my programs, all my thoughts about what's happening in the industry, how should I teach? Because even today, I opened my program for the course and I added big text paragraphs about my new thoughts. And it happens all the time. So probably the training year before, it's not the same as it is now. Yeah. And also, I always wanted to have my own brand, just for me, not for everyone. But when I actually could do that, I thought, okay, what do I do with all this good? And I've decided to sell it. So now my products mostly contain from all the stuff that I like personally. I don't like a lot of variety, and you saw probably that I have only one kind of tweezer, one kind of glue, and same kind of lashes that I use.
That's how I started off as well, but then I added more, so it might be happening for you as well. Yeah,
I had more, but I reduced it.
Oh, that's excellent. I probably should be doing that as well. I have to move spaces at the moment to make more space for all the stuff.
Going on the place.
Yeah. What made
the way I checked and changed my tweezers as well? I have them on the table right now.
Yeah, so let's see your tweezers. And why is it that you only have one kind of tweezer?
I like when it's spotless, like when you can grab lashes from the very top. This is my own personal one. Mm-hmm. Nothing special. And they usually, when people work with wrapping technique, wiggle technique, it's not the kind of tweezer for you, because when you use wiggle, you need them to be flat on the both sides and they have to close like this. My tweezers have a little angle, so they close like this.
Yeah. Pull that pressure.
I like to grant that you will have all the lashes inside, but you cannot make the lashes using this little gap.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone wants the wiggle technique, they will ask me separately, and I test it.
Now, a lot of people here are beginners, so they probably don't even know what the wriggle technique is. Let's start a little bit at the beginning. Now, obviously, there's classic lashing and there's volume lashing. So let's talk classic lashing. How important is it to have a good tweezer even for classic lashing? And let's talk about the pickup hand and also the isolation hand, because they are very different.
I tried a lot of tweezers. I'm sure you did as well, because we sell tweezers. We always try something new. And even for classic, the tweezers have to be made from a good quality steel, because if you, for example, will try to sterilize them or put in some kind of liquids, they can just melt. And it happened a few times when the tweezers actually melted, like metal melted. And it was a case when some cover on the tweezers also got cracked and peeled off.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah. That's it. What you have to ask your manufacturer or supplier, if they are made from a steel and if they're allowed to sterilize some kind of liquids.
Yes, because I know that most of the tweezers are stainless steel, but there is some that are made from carbon steel as well. Mm-hmm. And they are much, much cheaper to produce, and they are like put in some sort of perming solution and then pulled out to make them all shiny. But I have heard that these are actually a little bit more on the corrosive side, so they tend to not last as long as a good stainless steel tweezer. And what do you find the best for classic lashing, and not just talking about the type of tweezer you have now, because you're using your tweezer for both volume and classic. Yeah. What sort of angle do you recommend your students when they're learning classic lashing, for example, for an isolation tweezer, for example? Mm-hmm. Let's look at isolation.
Usually, I recommend the stuff that I have in stock, of course, because they come to me, I give them the kit. And usually, I even saw in the Facebook some posts about, I have never told about different angles of the tweezers, but if yours were good, I consider it to be okay. It's nothing special you have to know about. If you want to try, you can try, and that's fine. But I don't know, this kind of shape is okay. Also,
I have a few here too, if you don't have them all.
Yeah. I know you have a lot of them. So I also tried to start working with a 30 degrees angle. And then I started volume and my tweezers changed. So mostly I use the regular one or 30 degrees because, they don't require anything special. And also what I think about classic tweezers, that's the main idea, them to be okay for your sterilizing stuff and a good shape, because sometimes they send in such crooked tweezers, they're like this. They even don't close properly, so they have to be accurate.
Yeah, that's right. Hey Liz, hey Jackie, hi Felicia. I'm just saying hi to a few people that I watch. If you girls have any questions about tweezers and the use and holding them, we get into that anyway. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the difference with straight and angled isolation tweezers. A lot of people are struggling to move from angled to straight. So a lot of people do different training courses, right? And then the teachers or the trainers teach either with like a angled isolation tweezer, like
the same one.
With a straight one. What do you find the main difference for the posture? Isolation.
That probably depends on the manner you put your left hand, because some people really like the same tweezers I use for right hand. Even I saw the girl who bought Dumont tweezers. They're kind of expensive, and she used it only for left hand. And I'm like, okay. Isolation. Yeah, so Dumont was for isolation. That's a quite expensive variant for isolation.
Expensive.
I find these ones quite, these ones quite maybe convenient for someone because they can dig in the lashes. But I personally was taught on the straight ones, and I like straight ones. It is also my own. I don't know if I have any left. Oh, probably I don't. There are also tweezers that have an angle, not like from here, but also the big angle from the middle of there. So yeah, maybe even more. And
even longer sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
This is also long, but they are even longer.
Yeah. And what do you find the main difference? Like, just show us the positioning with the straight versus angled.
I usually don't use angled because I don't like to put my hand more flat because they basically have already this angle. So I compensate it with my hand. So usually use these ones, and they have also this little angle that I can use.
Which helps. Yeah. See, if I was trained with straight tweezers and I couldn't work them at all because they don't have that little indent like do, like your straight tweezers, they're totally fine. But I don't find these very easy to work with because you have to come in at this really, really strange angle. A lot of people like do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you have the wrist problems happening as well. So they just come from the top. You know, I see people use it and I always try and do it, but it hurts my from the top.
Oh my God. Never saw that.
Yeah. So also I find that if you're coming from the back of the client, let's say this is the head, here are the eyes. If you come from here, it is a little bit more safe as well because you have control of the head.
Yeah.
If you're coming from the top like that, you're not on the head, but people do that. You don't really have the control over the head. Like your hand is still kind of soothing them a little bit, you know, and I always push you down as well so I don't get stuck to their forehead with the oils and stuff. But yeah, do you find that as soon as you touch them a little bit, they also tend to, I don't know, calm down a little bit more? And I don't think that works with straight tweezers at all at that angle.
Well, that's also about the confidence of lash technician because my clients can trust me with opened eyes when I need to unstuck something, angles or something. They're completely quiet. Maybe because they're scared of me. But about how can I say it? The crooked tweezer. You can also work, as you showed. You can put your hand like this with a straight one. And it also because it has a little angle. But if you need, you can also put your hand a little further.
Yeah, that's right. We have a few questions. Liz asked, I can't wrap my head around curved for isolation. I always feel like I'm going to poke my client. I think it's just a matter of the angle, isn't it, that you're holding them at? Curved.
Yeah, you can always can try different tweezers because they're not so expensive, especially for separation.
Yeah. So if you hold the straight ones, you would be probably more so at this angle to get in there. And I understand what you mean because, like, let's say this is the iPad. It would be more so. Oh, we've lost Hanna. Are you still there?
Yep.
Hang on. Where did she go? I'll explain it further. Hopefully she'll come back. So if you have your straight tweezers, you would be more so like this on the iPad. And you would isolate like that, right? But if you have curved or angled isolation tweezers, you have a higher impact on the iPad, basically. So, yeah, I can get how it's probably more so for someone who's a bit more confident because as soon as you get there somehow, and you might be able to poke them in the eye, actually, you know, when they come up all of a sudden. Hang on, what's happening to the live video? Are we still there?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Do you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
You girls still hear and see us? Hang on, I think we've lost connection. No, wait. No, we're still there. I had a phone call. I had to push it away. Let me just put my phone on flight mode. That will work better now. But no one can get back to me. Hang on, 1 second. See, this is live. This is what happens.
It's good no one calls me.
You silly phone. Hang on. Come on. Right, we're back. Now,
Okay.
with the angle tweezers, you're coming more straight down, which a lot of people find easier because they have better control over that lash. Whereas if you have straight, you probably come more at this angle, which if you have very still hands, it's easy to hold the isolation. But I think you can lose it faster as well. Like you just got to work out what you prefer. And I think, personally, I prefer.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
Also, there is some kind of difference in separating the lashes because the girls who prefer straight tweezers, they usually separate not from the very base of the lashes, they separate it from the more than the tips.
Yes.
Girls who want to separate like from the very, very root, that's for curved ones better. Angles.
That's right. Yeah. So when I isolate, I always go from the root because I just find it easier not to cross lashes over when you isolate that way. But it really is all about practice and what you prefer to use.
Yeah, I know more about not with the root.
There's no wrong or right. Whatever works for you and what is safe for the client as well. There's another question. Is there a specific way you are supposed to position it properly? Oh, I think we've already talked about that just then. My left hand is off screen a little bit. Okay, sorry. I have to look at the other screen because I'm seeing myself big, but then Hanna is in it on this side, so I have to be more like that. Sorry, girls. You are a straight tweezer isolator. Excellent. We are back. I want to start using the curve, but I just can't get used to it. If you are confident at isolating with straight tweezers, don't change it. You know, do you agree? Why change something if it isn't broken? You don't have to change something, you know, only because
it works for you. Well, you can try, but
yeah, that's right. So let's talk about the pickup tweezer to like a very, very, very beginner that is starting classic lashes. A lot of girls have no idea and they actually grab a straight tweezer as a pickup. What do you teach your people?
I have noticed that some girls do even volumes with straight tweezers.
Wow.
That was surprising, but I met some of my students who already was re-taught volume by me, and they took straight tweezers and they were quite okay with 3D, 4D fans with that. But I don't think anyone can adjust this kind of tweezer for volumes. So yeah, I started
just trying to think. I'm not.
Yeah, that's almost flat.
You're like,
yeah.
No, I can't do that because I want to support my hand.
Maybe with kind of Asian style school. I don't know, probably because I have a lot of girls from there also. Mm-hmm. So they have absolutely different style of everything,
yeah,
including culture and lashes.
So what do you personally teach a beginner?
With the volumes or classic? Sorry.
No, classics. Yeah.
Classics. I usually offer regular ones. As I told, I have only one shape for now, but I show all the kinds so people can try it and maybe they are more confident with something. I have like what I show usually. That's my 90 degrees. That was my first 90 degrees tweezer. Yeah. I actually won it on the championship.
Oh, cool.
It worked pretty well unless I dropped it. Yeah. This is the one that was quite popular in Russia one year, but I tried it. I was very curious and it didn't work for me. Like, you know, you can think that this hook can help making fans or lashes to fan themselves, but it's kind of all about practice. What you have, I know you have kind of Z tweezers. Also didn't use them, but depends on what you like. And these also the boot tweezer, as Russians call it, X tweezer. So the boot tweezer, I know there are a lot of fans of boot tweezers, and you know this more smooth boot tweezers. I tried a lot. I tried a lot of different boot tweezers, but no one worked with me, and probably that's just not my type of tweezer to work.
When I told students, I think to myself again.
Are we here?
Yeah. I just can hear myself in your screen. I find that beginners, I like the boot tweezers actually because they tend to drop their tweezers a lot in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
They don't break as quickly. The tips, if you drop it on the tip, that will break as well. But if you have, like, let's say you have a skinny tip tweezer like that and that drops, it's gone. Yeah. And
that's why
like that,
a hole here.
More sturdy. Yeah, and that's why I am now, with the new tweezers that are arriving, I'm getting holes in every single one of them.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a good point. And then you can put a little elastic in and put it around your wrist or get a nice little ring as well.
You
so
can
that is
on the chain on the neck.
Yeah, any way you want. So yeah, if you are a very, very, very beginner for classic lashing, you can even use one of those, you know, instead of having something really, really skinny, just the topping part. Sorry?
I meant anything works unless it can pick up the one lash.
Yeah, but I probably wouldn't teach anyone to start with straight tweezers because I think it's just the way that the wrist positions when you pick up and then place. I think it's a little bit harder. If you have something a bit angled for classic, that is definitely the way to go. You don't have to spend a fortune for classic tweezers either. You know?
Yeah, even sorry.
No, go for it.
Even when I changed my 90 degrees to, I used 45, that's probably 30. And position of the hand is really different. You work like that, and then you work like this. It takes me around 2 days to get used to the tweezer that I work, except the boot ones.
Yeah. That's right. Let's see, what else is here? Questions. So many different styles. Yes, there are very many different styles. If I use Dumonts, is it easy to convert to other styles? Hanna asks.
From Dumonts to different angles, for example.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I guess it's the most easy way is to convert it to 30 or 45 degree because it's almost the same hand position. And then maybe 90 degrees because it's not so much different. But it's all up to you. If they work, why change?
For classic, it's totally easy, I think, to change. But for volume, I think Dumonts are very, very different to, let's say, a boot tweezer like that. Because these usually close all the way, these types of tweezers.
Like 90 degrees.
Yeah, 90-degree boot type tweezers, whether they're long or skinny or whatever. They usually close pretty much all the way along the blade. Depends on the supplier and what you tell them as well, what you want to do. But with Dumonts, you can see they're not designed to pick up all the way unless you press really hard. And more so at the tip. So if you're using volume, it is a big change to go from Dumont to other tweezers, depending on the type of tweezer. But for classics, it doesn't matter at all because it's one lash. You know, you pick it up anyway. Eileen.
Oh, sorry. You are freezing on my side.
You're freezing too. Did you hear my question?
No, sorry.
Okay, Eileen asks, do you ladies file down your pick-up tweezers for better grip?
File down?
Yeah. So
sorry, English is not my native language. I'm kind of trying to understand.
So pick-up tweezer. Let's say we're going to go with classics or whatever. Okay. Do you sometimes file the inside with a nail file for better grip?
I usually do it only when I'm adjusting, but I know what I'm doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, and I have it in all my tweezer videos as well, never try to do it yourself because you will spoil it and you will not be able to change if something is not working.
So what do you do? How do you adjust it?
Oh, I adjust them to be able to grab like a volume fans, and also I make them Dumont-like by work. So if someone gets the tweezer and she cannot work with that, then better to change it for the ones that will work. For example, if you suddenly didn't notice that you have a wiggle technique and they're not working for you, I can to the wiggle ones, but don't do it yourself because you have a supplier who's responsible for this product. Why not? But if it's your very, very old one and you want to experiment, yes, you can. Especially some girls use it when they're really old tweezers. And for example, they have fallen, they were broken. Maybe to make the surface flat, you can do it. Maybe they will.
I do.
To bring to life these ones, but that was not so good.
When I bought my first pair of Dumonts, I dropped them after 2 days.
Oh.
And then I had to file. Like they fell right on the tip. But
Yep.
my Dumonts are actually about a mil shorter than normal Dumonts, but they still pick up great. So it takes a while. Like it took me a good 20 minutes to adjust them to make them work again. But you can. But if you don't know what you're doing, where can they find your adjusting videos? Is it on YouTube?
I have videos not of adjustments, but about the working, the final grab. So before I just sent every tweezer, especially for this person, with their address to the email. And then I just, okay, I won't do that anymore. I just, when I make a final test, I make a YouTube video, go it straight on YouTube. And if you have a number of your tweezer, you can always see how I worked with that. And to compare, maybe something happened when it was delivered, someone dropped it, or someone did something. So you can compare as it was sent and how it worked for me. And I always tell that it has an angle, so it's not for wiggle technique. That's it. But I have a YouTube video how you can make the tips more flat or more sharp. So you basically have to just close it very tight and file it from this angle, different angles. And I show how I do that because I received a very strange email when the girl told me my tweezers is stuck to the patch when I isolate or when I do lashes. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't imagine how they can stuck. And I tried it and I found that they're very sharp and they just pierce the patch. So I showed her how she can adjust them and she never messaged me back, so probably she just solved it.
And where can we find that video?
It's on YouTube, youtube.com/angelwingsbeauty.ca, or you can just Google Angel Wings Lash Academy.
Angel Wings.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, can you link it? That would be great.
I have only the team chat here. I don't know if I have to use it because I cannot see the Facebook one.
Oh, okay. Maybe this is after the live.
Yeah.
And then you can put it in. That's cool. Yanis is asking, do you dress your tweezers? I have no idea what that means. Is that an expression they have in Europe that we don't use?
I also don't know what's that.
Dress. Does that mean how you prepare and how you prep the tweezer for you to hold? Please tell us what it means. We would love to know. Hanna says 90% of the time I'm thinking of changing as Dumonts are so expensive. We'll just have one pair and maybe go to your jeweler and get them to drill a hole into that's what I would recommend. If you have a pair of tweezers you really, really love, go to a jeweler instead of ordering another pair and just get them to drill a hole in it and then you won't drop them again. That's what I'll do. I just gave myself a very good idea then. Hey Maggie, hey Levi, hey Connie, hi Irina. Yeah, we just talked about that, Yanis. That's exactly right. I hope I said your name correctly. Dress. To repair them, it means dressing means you can file them down or repair them if they have dropped.
Mm-hmm.
We dress our tweezers a lot.
So I have all kinds of instruments for that, especially nail files.
Yeah. Connie asks, which tweezers do you find easier for beginners with volume? Show you the tweezer again because you only have the one.
Yeah, I have these ones and the boot ones. Well, this is only the boot one that I have, but sorry?
Can you go closer with the tweezers? Yeah, perfect.
And I had also 90 and 30 degrees. Different ones.
Yeah, but which one do you always recommend for beginners?
I usually try them. I usually ask them to try 90 degrees and the regular shape, because these are pretty much different and they can adjust to different shapes from the basic one.
Yeah, awesome. Can you turn down the Facebook Live again? Or some sort of sound is back in the background.
I have no idea. I just don't touch anything.
Oh, good. Janice, sorry, Janice. Julia's volume tweezers are my favorite. Eileen says, thank you. Have I got to show it? Hang on. Okay. Actually, you know, I should call all my volume tweezers Julia's favorites, because otherwise I wouldn't sell them, because I'm the same. I only sell the stuff I like. But I went through this phase. I have really, really small hands, right? So for me to hold something really huge and bulky and heavy is not great. Luckily these days, most tweezers aren't over 30 grams anyway, so it's pretty easy to hold, and they're pretty balanced as well. But I know that if you put holes in here, sometimes it balances the tweezers even more, and they're actually a little bit lighter too, so you can take some weight out of them. But because I have such tiny hands, I find that smaller tweezers work better for me, personally.
Yeah.
I like to use them, but because you have to push so hard to make them grab, like you have to use a lot of muscle memory, I find my hands fatigue a little bit faster. So these are the ones that I had for a very, very long time. They're very tiny, but they're amazing for volume, for classics. Yeah, so these are Julia's favorites. Do you girls have any, or boys, do you have any more questions? Oh, yes, there's some more.
Yeah, I just the size, the different.
Yeah. Can you talk about the different size with hands as well? What have you experienced?
I have experienced a lot of interesting situations because, of course, different suppliers produce different weights of material, different weight of steel, and even comparing like old ones and new ones, it can be much better when they're lighter and you feel like, oh my god, that's jewelry. Like a tweezer is a jewelry, not even the work that you do with them. But there are really some people who like it harder. And I had even one request to have a male tweezer.
Oh, like I have.
And I thought, oh my god, we're starting the new page in our industry.
Make them heavier.
Yeah.
No, I
heavier,
prefer them
bigger and longer. Yeah.
Yeah, I have been asked to do longer tweezers as well. That's why I find for the volume part, I don't need them super long because the rest just sticks out. But a lot of people have really long hands for isolation. That's why I made the isolation tweezers extra long. You can see the difference in size between isolation and volume, right? That helps. If you have really long fingers, long isolation tweezers are a must, I find, because you can put them nicely into, what do you call this area? I don't know, that crevice there. Rosie asks, what should I do if the expensive tweezers I bought don't work for me? That's a great question. Would you like?
I would just contact the supplier, as girls sometimes do to me as well, because I understand every tweezer is so personal, and sometimes it can work, sometimes you can't, sometimes you want to change and try something else. And they just contact me, and I usually ask them to make videos, so that's kind of very helping me to understand what's going on. Maybe she's just holding them not in a proper way. Maybe she's not using enough pressure to close them. So it happens differently and pretty much solves the problem.
Yeah. I also find that 90% of the time it is the person holding the tweezers. If you have bought them from a very good supplier that hand tests the tweezers, like yourself or myself or lots of other companies as well that actually hand test their tweezers. So it is great if you did a video before you give up and think it's a tweezer. Most of the time it's not, and it's just a little thing that needs tweaking, and you can help with that as well, which is awesome. Jackie asks, hand positioning of holding the tweezers is it just what's comfortable? Okay. If you are uncomfortable the way you're holding the tweezers, then you're not holding them correctly, I would say. Depends. Jackie, do you
Someone's
mean...
calling. Okay, it's just a phone from far. Oh my God, they're both calling from my husband one time. Okay, do you hear it?
That's so weird.
Okay, sorry for that. Wow.
Yes. Julia, all of the tweezers you sell hand tested. The volume tweezers are hand tested. The isolation tweezers, I don't test them for isolation, but I take them out and I turn them around and I look at the points. Sometimes actually I go in there with myself before I send them off and I file them a little bit sharper, because the tweezers that I sell, they're not mass factory produced. They are made by a smallish company in Pakistan. Most tweezers are made in Pakistan. Some, well, the Manns are made in Switzerland. And they're also a different material. And they actually hand make them. I have videos that I've posted previously how they are made. First, they're put into a mold. The mold is hand carved. They put the stainless steel or whatever steel they're using, the hot steel, into the mold. And there's 2 molds. So you don't just put one tweezer in there. It's like this part first and this part. And then it gets welded together with usually 2 joints. So they are produced. This part is usually thicker, then the 2 parts are thinner, so that you have a very even transition, I suppose, when you weld them together. And then actually a lot of the time they will not have a mold for every single different tweezer, because I always give them custom tweezer requirements. Yeah, everything that I give them is usually custom made. The angles are never the same. Like, for example, a lot of suppliers would sell, a lot of suppliers will do like I call this the Z tweezer. Yeah. But if you compare this one with the one that Hanna showed earlier, you can see that it's different.
Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there.
Hold it up as well at the same time.
Different.
Okay, I hold it like this. Let's hold it like up. Can you hold it that way? Yeah. Yep. Can you see how my angle is 90 degrees from the thingy? It's a little different, the angle. My angle comes in a little bit more that way.
The shape a little different.
Yeah, that's right. And this is what I requested from my supplier, because I find this is the easiest way for my students to pick up the volume, because you don't have to go like that or like that. You just have them straight like that. Yeah?
Even this kind of tweezers are different.
Yeah, that's it. And
very, like, sturdy and
have one tweezer be 100% the same if you have them made by a company like that, unless you go to someone like Dumont. They're all pretty much the same, usually. But you still have to hand test them. And so they actually bend them over like a steel thing, and they hit them with the hammer, and that's how they bend them and make them look the same, but they're never the same. And sometimes one part, when they start to put them onto that, what is the name for the thingy that polishes the ends, so you make them sharper?
Let's call it sharpener.
Round thing that spins really fast. Sometimes one side will be thicker than the other as well. So sometimes before I send my tweezers off, I actually go in with a file and I even it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But
they still have to be accurate, because sometimes different manufacturers send you this thickness and this the second one.
Absolutely. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah.
No.
They have to be pretty much the same still.
So yeah, I hand test all my volume tweezers, but I don't hand test, but I look at them and I make sure everything is joining in. And if it doesn't, like you said, you have that video on YouTube where you make the tips meet. Mm-hmm. If you have a good supplier, your tips will meet when you order. Yeah. Otherwise, they haven't looked at them. Basically. Yeah.
If they're handmade, they still can have little imperfections.
Okay. Now, Jackie was asking, how is it comfortable to hold one pair of tweezers? Because some trainers will teach you hold the tweezers like this. How do you teach your students to hold the volume tweezer, for example? Your volume tweezer that you work with, like this type?
Well, I took the idea of Frankie Widows because I saw her video first. But first, I was working like that, like in the middle. I put my fingers. Then when I took my volume course, they retaught me to make it like that because like this thing is not just a decoration. You have to put your finger there, and I made the colors on the finger. Yeah. So after that, I really got used to the basic technique that most of technicians use right now, I guess, to close it lower with a ring finger or middle finger.
Yeah.
I don't put a lot of efforts to close the tweezers as well.
It does. And that's exactly the same way I teach, only from personal practice. The problem is a lot of people have, when you go from classic to volume lashing, it is a huge change. Your pressure has to completely change as well. So most people will train volume classic just with 2 fingers, and you can't hold a volume fan like that. If you pick up a volume fan, you need to be able to go like this, shake, 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 and come back. And then the volume fan is still intact. But that doesn't happen if you just have 2 fingers. So I always teach even the beginners to start with 3, because then it's much easier to transition to volume.
Better.
So I'll show you once again the way that you were just holding them as well is exactly the same. Yeah. So 1 finger nice and low because it gives you lots of steadiness, and then 1 over here, and then the thumb is kind of almost in line with the other. That's how I hold them.
You can control your movement over the client.
And I think I went live about this actually yesterday or the day before in the live lash lessons group. And I showed people exactly how to do fanning techniques, which we're not going to do today. But I literally just said you need to have your fingers stationary, but everything else needs to move.
Yeah.
Everything else needs to move, but you need to have your fingers stationary. Otherwise, you're going to lose your fan.
I have one more thing to say. People usually ask me what's the difference between my isolation this-shaped tweezer and classic this-shaped tweezer, because I have all the tweezers the same. And they're like, what's the difference between separation and classic? Because it seems like, okay, they have to work anyway. But usually my classic tweezers is just unfortunate volume tweezers that I tried to adjust, but they still are adjusted, maybe for double volume, maybe for triple volume even, but they are not working like I want. So they are mostly going to a classic tweezer type. And I also try to grab one lash by very end, by middle, by the base. And I have to convince myself that they don't bend lashes, they don't break lashes. So that's why I also kind of a little bit adjust classic tweezers as well. So if they are not able to take the lash and they just fold it, that goes to separation.
Yeah, I do the same with volume and classic tweezers. For example, Julia's favorite volume tweezer that doesn't pick up 60 is now called Julia's favorite classic tweezer in the shop. Same tweezer, but you know, you might be lucky and pick a 3 or 40 up, but it's not tested for.
It's not enough for us.
Not enough for us, that's right. There's a few questions, maybe you can answer them. Irina asks, I saw a photo of someone taping down their 4th finger and pinky finger in order to train the hand.
I did with my students.
Yeah.
I just taped my student's finger here with a tape. And it's kind of a feature of my training as well.
But then you don't lose it at least. Why not?
They usually try to get rid of this, but if they cannot hold the tweezer the correct way, I have to do that.
Latrice asked, what's a good pickup tweezer other than the straight ones for classic? We already showed that in the beginning, but maybe we can hold it up again. Anything that's shaped like that, or that, or that. Anything like that for classic. Anything that has a slide bend works for classics. Yeah.
If you have very sharp nails, you can probably do it with your bare fingers.
Yeah, I isolate sometimes with my little pinky.
Oh yeah, no. Some girls use the 2 little fingers.
Yeah.
And
Jackie, grinder. I don't know in what subtext that comment was meant to be. It just says grinder. I'm not sure. I can't remember what I said.
The round thing that sharpens the tweezers?
Grinder. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, could be. Yeah, like a turning file. Yeah.
Now I don't have nails, but usually I have them very long and I make extensions and they're very sharp and picky. And every person asks me, is it convenient for you to work? Yeah, it's very convenient. I don't do it. Don't do anything with my nails except of maybe sometimes I really can separate them.
And Liz says, for volume, I'm obsessed with the layer tweezer. Is excellent. Another good tweezer. Best volume tweezers. I still haven't found ones I like. There's no answer for that. Best volume tweezers, because everybody is so different, and it's literally just about you trying out different ones. You have something that works.
Like start with different techniques and ending with different weight, length.
Yeah, that's right. Is there any more questions? Because I think we have covered pretty much everything, haven't we? Actually, I'll ask you your opinion about that. What do you find when you're isolating, when people say, oh, these aren't sharp enough for me? How do you find really sharp tweezers work versus more blunt, or not like totally sharp and pointy, but a little bit more rounded at the tips? What do you prefer for isolation?
I like very sharp for isolation and probably not very sharp for basic tweezer.
Yeah. And if you are very, very beginner, you just got to be very careful.
Yeah, because you really need to be careful. And also, if you don't do a lot of stickies, it's better. But if you do a lot, then probably sharper tweezers will help you.
Yeah, that's right. And I haven't got any other questions. We've been on for almost an hour anyway. Wow, that doesn't seem that long. Does it? No, at all. I'll wait if there's another couple of questions. Oh, here we go. When do you know it's time for a new tweezer? When you have one.
When you do your fan and you just see that you can't do it with a tweezer. It just doesn't work. Maybe you dropped it.
Or when you just want to buy a new tweezer. Because I love buying new tweezers. I just love it. I have so many tweezers, but I think I always go back to the ones I like. Yeah, when you drop them, you can't adjust it anymore. That's time for a new tweezer.
I so much love my current tweezers that I don't want to even think about changing something. That's maybe my type of character, but I don't like to say goodbye to the things that I like. And I had some clients that days that I had a pickup services for my goods, and they came to me and told me, I want your tweezer. and I said, okay, you can have my tweezer because I adjust all the tweezers as I did for me.
It's funny because I have that happening too when I train. A lot of people say, mine doesn't work. And then I go there and I make it work. And they go, but it doesn't work for me. Can I just have your tweezer? I'm like, it's exactly the same. You know, it's exactly the same. Every few months, Jackie buys about 10 new pairs. Go nuts, Jackie. Irina, I dropped my Dumont and filed them down with sandpaper, and now they're my favorite plastic tweezer. Yeah, perfect. I find